Greetings, everybody. Welcome once again. This is Capo Daniel, the chairman of the Ambazonian People's Rights Advocative Platform and the commander-in-chief of the Ambazonian Dark Forces. These are guerrilla fighters who works in the shadow to fight against the Cameroon repressive regime that have taken hold of our country. I want to greet everybody from Biafra and Ambazonia at home and abroad. And those who are incarcerated, I want to greet you as well. As you can imagine, I have had tremendous pressure to make a statement from the Biafran side in particular after what happened in Finland, where our patriot and very good friend, Mr. Simon Ekpa, invited Dr. Ayaba to have a very big presentation. And I've had a lot of pressure from the people of Biafra, especially the staunch supporters of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to come and make a statement, because since the alliance between the IPOB and the AGOFC was put in place to unite the people of Ambazonia and Biafra, I have been the main person who have championed this alliance. I'm also the most credible and the most listened Ambazonian activist and leader right now. So a lot of people want to hear what I have to say about this meeting that have taken place in Oslo between Simon Ekpa and Dr. Ayaba. Dr. Ayaba was invited by Simon Ekpa for this very big event. And as you know, I have stayed away a little bit from the Biafran struggle. I've been making less and less comment because the environment, social media environment in the Biafran struggle is very toxic at the moment, and it is almost the same thing in the Ambazonian struggle, but these are challenges that we must overcome. And in this meeting where you had these two leaders met, it was a very big and successful event. I think for both leaders and the organization and the people they represent, this was a very, very big event that was very successful. And I want to make comments on this so that people can have the facts and people can also know how to factor this in their greater struggle, because the Biafran struggle is a collective struggle. The Ambazonian struggle is a collective struggle. So our people must understand that a struggle for liberation have liberation politics. We must understand that this is how the world works. For these two leaders who met in Finland, it was very important for them, especially in the stage in their leadership within the movement of Biafra, for Simon Ekpa, and for Ambazonia for Ayaba Lucas. I'm going to get to that very soon. But I want to also highlight the backdrop to which this meeting is taking place. You know very well there are two measure, I can say the two measure in terms of personality, face of the liberation of Biafra and the face of the liberation of the Ambazonian struggle. Seseko Ayoktabi and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu remains the irreplaceable leaders in the heart of the people of both nations and both territories. And they are highly regarded, they are highly respected, and that is the reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in collaboration between the Nigerian government and the Kenyan authorities and was sent into prison in Nigeria, while Seseko Ayoktabi was also kidnapped in collaboration with the Buhari regime and sent to prison in Cameroon. The main reason why these two leaders were being targeted was because of their ability to bring together the people of their territory for a common cause. These are the two most biggest respected leaders for the cause of the Biafran people and the cause for the Ambazonian people, and these are indisputable and this will remain, and they are irreplaceable. Nevertheless, our people have to understand that within the people's right, everybody in every territory have the right to constitute a team and represent the aspiration of their people and fight for their people's right based on their own political calculation. And that is exactly what is happening. In the Biafran movement, Simon Ekpa, who have been slow but have steadily emerged as the most prominent Biafran leader right now, that is in charge of the highest forces in Biafra. I have also had a lot of conversation with many factions in the Biafra movement, I think I have visited virtually majority of the Biafran diaspora community who have invited me to come and advise them, and I've also advised most of the Biafran leaders. The alliance between Ambazonia and Biafra was established officially by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. Their two organizations initiated this alliance, which have brought both people together. The way this thing works is that it takes a life of its own. The initiation of that alliance, that vision for our people to come together, was very crucial for our liberation. It is very controversial. It is a double-edged sword because it can work both ways. It can either destroy Ambazonia or Biafra, or it can uplift both nations and their aspiration to become independent country based on how it is managed and how it is propagated, because it is a big propaganda tool. It is a big psychological tool in the mindset of the international community, the mindset of the Nigerian government, and the mindset of the Cameroon government. Our greatest advantage is to use this alliance to mobilize troops from both sides to be able to hold the Gulf of Guinea as a stake or as a leverage to the international communities to understand that there will be no business in Biafran resources and Ambazonian resources guaranteed by Cameroon and Nigeria without the indigenous people of Biafra and the indigenous people of Ambazonia having a greater say in how things are run financially and how their own people are governed, and the respect of the right of self-determination of both people. So that said, these two leaders who have gathered have a lot of enemies. For Simon Ekpa, some Nigerians, some Biafran people have already concluded that he is working for the Nigerian government, and there is no way you can change their mind. It is very toxic. And this is the biggest problem we have in Africa, where when you disagree with somebody, you just conclude that that person is working for the enemy. That is not true. I have worked with Simon Ekpa. He had a very big plan for Biafra this year, and they had 1,000 troops that were supposed to go through a specialized training that I was particularly involved in the consultation and some of the planning of those issues. Funds were raised and he really worked very hard. But I can assure you that those programs were scrapped. They were not effective because of sabotage of other Biafran factions. I was personally taken aback by some Biafran's influence, which made me just to be a little bit lukewarm and not to go ahead with those training program. So that is still a very big problem. Anybody in Biafra who thinks that Simon Ekpa, because he imposes stay home, is working for the Nigerian government to destabilize the eastern region, is making a very big mistake. Nigerian government do not want the stay at home. Nevertheless, there are legitimate complaints that are coming from the Biafran people about the policies being implemented on the ground by Simon Ekpa. They are complaining a lot. You go to America, you talk to any Biafran people, they are very worried that there have been so many killings, beheadings, and barbaric actions committed on the ground in the name of the Eastern Security Network. But I think that many of those forces have separated, and some Nigerians, they don't even believe that those things can be committed by their own children. And I can assure you that there are some saboteurs from the Nigerian government that commit such sabotage actions to blame them on the Eastern Security Network. Nevertheless, majority of those killings are actually committed by Biafran soldiers. The reason they commit these actions, I believe, is because of the excessive use of stay home. When the political leadership use excessive policies, it translates to the mindset of soldiers. Remember that soldiers who carry gun have taken great risk of their own personal life and are very nervous and can carry harsh action on their own people for self-preservation. So it's very important that the Biafran war and the leaders take this very seriously. The stay at home must be proportionate. I had proposed and advocated when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was still considering this issue, this topic. I've also advocated to most of the leaders of the Biafrans that they should adopt the Ambazonian style. I was one of those who had pushed them to adopt stay at home. It is supposed to be on a single day so that it will balance making a political statement and giving the population of a chance to make a civil statement other than the military wing. But now, right now, it is excessive. There are Nigerian agents who are also pushing the leaders, giving them false report and advice to make it excessive. That is just going to isolate the vast majority of the Biafran people. There is a high risk that what we have seen in Ambazonia may happen to the Biafran, where many Biafran people who are in the diaspora, business people will be unable to go back home and visit their families because they are afraid of kidnappers. So Simon Ekpa must take charge, must be moderate in his approach in self-defense in order to send the right message to everybody that carry gun in Biafra that they should focus on targeting the enemy. And when they have to deal with their people, they must do so in respect of human sanctity and also in respect of the laws of proportionality. No war crime should be committed in the name of the Biafran movement. It is counterproductive. For every soldier to be able to obey this law, there should be some agreed set of ethics and practice in the Biafran movement on how armed men conduct themselves. Certain videos or certain killings and certain kidnappings should be outlawed, and soldiers on the ground, the leaders on the ground, should take charge to make sure that they discipline the soldiers and have a manual. They must have a manual on how to deal with saboteurs, how to deal with collaborators with the Nigerian government. It is very essential, even more than fighting. It is more important to have a strict rule so that the Biafran community in the diaspora should be able to go back home without being afraid, but instead seek protection from all the Biafran armed group. If the Biafran leadership of Simon Ekpa fail to come with agreement with the other leaders in order to institute a nationwide agreed ethics in the Biafran arms resistance or arms liberation movement, this struggle of the Biafran will fail. On the other side of Ambazonia, we have a leader of Ayaba who also sees this opportunity as a very big PR opportunity for him, because he also have been indicted by the United States of America and have been partially sanctioned by the Canadians, and is also being under investigation by Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International and other human rights organizations for war crimes that he has come out to take responsibility in Ambazonia. They have ordered the summary execution of some individuals, and they are also being linked with other killings in Ambazonia, which have put him under tremendous pressure. We have succeeded in the Ambazonian struggle to be able to bring Cameroon to the negotiation table, but that process in Canada was all undermined by Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, and so such a PR event is very good for him, and I think it's also good for Simon Ekpa. But that is how liberation works. People should not just complain or condemn leaders. They should try to appreciate them and give them applause when they do things that are right, even when it benefits them politically. So I will say that kudos to Simon Ekpa and Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, because such events help to bring the Ambazonian people and the Biafran people close together. It is very important that we are together. Remember that the Biafran people and the Ambazonian people were all using the same passport. We were all members of the Eastern region state within the Nigerian state during the period of the British mandate. So we are all one people. The step to institute this alliance was a great victory for our people to bring us back together so that we can work together. But how we manage it is up to us. It is no longer an issue of Ayaba and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have completely separated himself from Simon Ekpa. Simon Ekpa have completely separated himself from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and I think that was inevitable given the fact that the leader of the Biafra movement is in prison. So Simon Ekpa needs a lot of support and need a lot of explanation and need a lot of accountability to the Biafran community, because the Nigerians have really succeeded to divide you people. My advice to the Biafran people is do not accuse people of working with the Nigerian government simply because they don't support your own ideology. the leader of the Biafran movement, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, is so much loved that for many Biafran people, they prefer his release from prison even than independence of Biafra. That is just the way it is. Those are realities we must accept. And both people must accept that there are multiple leaders who also have the right to fight for their countries and represent the best interests as they see fit for their own collaborators and their own organization. There should be space for multiplicity within our liberation struggle. There should be no conflict of imagery. Our people might not be used to having one or two or multiple leaders, but that is just the way it is. We have multiple leaders in the Ambazonian Liberation War. We also have multiple leaders in the Nigerian Biafran War that is ongoing. There is a war going on. Maybe you have not realized, but there is a war going on in Biafra, and it is just about to get real. So I have separated from Ayaba. When that alliance was formed, I was his top deputy and spokesman. I had since resigned because we failed to capitalize on the negotiation we had with the Cameroon government in Canada. And since then, my position concerning the Ambazonian movement have changed. I am now calling for the pursuit or consideration of an autonomy for Ambazonia that is similar to what the Scotland and the Northern Ireland have from Great Britain, so that we can be able to protect our people's life, because the Cameroon government is quite brutal, as you have seen. We do not have the necessary international support to achieve liberation by military force. So we must be able to be flexible for the sake of the life of our people who are in ground zero, because their life matters. We cannot just sit in our comfort in the diaspora and ask people to die, all of them, unless we have independence. I just think that that is the best approach for us in Ambazonia right now. I fight for the independence of Ambazonia. I stand for nothing but the independence of Ambazonia. But because right now the division within our struggle does not allow us to be able to have military victory over Cameroon, I think the best way for us to have our independence is to preserve that chance of having independence in the future by having these concessions now, with the hope of securing our territorial integrity, securing our national identity, our flag, for the possibility that in the future, through democratic means, our people can ascend to an independent state, just like the arrangement had between Scotland and Northern Ireland and Scotland with Great Britain. Those patriots who were fighting for Northern Ireland and Scotland, who made those concessions, were not traitors. They were people who valued the human life of countrymen, and they had looked at things in a realistic position. For the Biafran movement, the possibility of Biafran to have independence without Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's leadership is also very, very slim, and Simon Ekpa needs to do a better job than he is doing. He needs to convince all Nigerians, all Biafran people, that he is working for their interests. I think by taking control of the armed forces and making sure that excesses are stopped, that the rights of Biafrans is respected by all Biafran forces, people are not being kidnapped, harassed, and killed. So for our people who are democratic in nature, they must accept to debate and stop blackmailing, stop lying. Unfortunately, in the side of Ambazonia, the group of Ayaba is the main group that perpetrate these lies about each other, calling people collaborators with the Cameroon government simply because they have a different opinion. That should stop on both sides. So I want to put out this message for everybody to hear. I've had a lot of pressure to make a statement on this issue, and I think it is the right thing to do. I am the most credible activist on our side, and our people expect to hear from me as well. But this video is meant primarily because they have been the primary one that have been pushing me. I've been on the Biafran radio stations and many of their programs to give my mind. I've also engaged with their forces, a lot of their forces, to help them with training and advice. There are a lot of Biafrans who can bring down Nigeria and free Biafra. The secret is, how do you get them to work together? It is the same challenge we face in Ambazonia. The radicalization process is very important to prepare our youth for war, but moderation is the key. It is a very tricky balance to make. But if leadership fail to rein in excesses from men who carry guns, those same men will become a problem to our people, and those same men will become an impediment to our independence. Remember what Thomas Sankara once said: a soldier without a political ideology is a potential criminal. And in Ambazonia, our defense forces have now developed a thirst for money, and they have all have economic interests that have really diverted our, our, our power and neutralized our killing instinct in war, that have made it very, very impossible for us to have the type of victory we could have had. I hope this is not the case with Biafra, and I hope this will not happen with the Biafran movement. So we'll continue to speak for our people, we'll continue to encourage our people, and to make them to accept people's right. I am an advocate of people's rights. We should not become dictators, because when you start calling people the enemy because they don't support your own leader, they don't back your own horse in this race, then we start to do partisan politics even before we have independence. That is counterproductive to our collective fight for the freedom and independence of Biafra and the freedom and independence of Ambazonia. We must all pursue this alliance because we are one people. The Biafran people and the Ambazonian people are one people. We were all raised in the same home by the British government. The British was our mother, and we were all product of the eastern region of Nigeria. We're part of that system. Our parents studied there. They went to the same universities, and we are all one people. It is time for us to come together. The Nigerian government is afraid of this alliance for a reason. The Nigerian government is afraid of this alliance for a reason, because we can impact each other, we can learn from each other, we can train each other, and we can motivate each other. So support each other. And in case you are not subscribed to this my platform on my YouTube channel, subscribe to this platform. We have recently had some attacks, cyber attacks, but we thank God everything is going on fine. We'll continue to hold the torch, to be the light, to speak the truth, to bring credibility and hold leaders to account. We are all patriots. We are all doing our best according to our own information and according to our own ability to free our people. The least we can do is to unite around a common goal. When we start seeing each other like the enemy, any house that is divided against itself will fail. The Nigerian government and the Cameroon government will try their best to make sure that all camps remain divided. It is up to us to overcome our love for our leaders, our love for our own groups, and put patriotism, put Ambazonia and Biafra first. So together we can make it, and together we can win Cameroon and we can win Nigeria. This alliance is here to stay. It is for us, the people. It is not for the groups. It was initiated by Ayaba and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but it is now up to us, the people, to come together as we are coming together. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day and have a blessed sky wherever you are.